So, hello everyone. I'm going to start with you with an exercise. So, let's go back in time. Close your eyes and go back to the past years of your life. Remember how glorious was the journey? And where are you today? Remember those minor or major decisions you have made that had ripple effect on your life. And imagine, if you said no to the yes decisions you have made in your life, where would you be today? Will you be in a better place or a worse place? Open your eyes and raise your hands if you found yourself in a worse place. Okay. I remember 4 years ago, I was attending a life coaching training, and we were given an exercise on emotional intelligence with a set of questions to score between 0 and 10. There was that question: can you say no without feeling guilty? Well, I gave myself 0 to that question. But I was really pissed off when I see the instructions. They said, look at the lowest scores and know that you have to work on those areas being the greatest challenges. So I went to the life coach over the dinner and I told her, would you please coach me on that issue? And at that time, I was able to unleash a reality. I cannot but say yes. And I never felt guilt for any of the yes decisions I have made in my life. Honestly, I wouldn't be who I am today if I said no's instead. If I want to go back myself to the past years of my life, and I want to remember how glorious the journey was and where I am today, I would find a common fact: the yes decisions, or actually, the number of yeses I said in my life. And if I were to pick some of those decisions that changed my life, I would choose to share with you today 3 of my stories. It was 2007, and I was studying my first year of master's degree in finance at the Lebanese University, when I heard about the program called Partnership for Lebanon. That was initiated by 5 big companies: Cisco, Intel, Microsoft, Ghafari, and Occidental Petroleum. There was a call for fresh graduates all over Lebanon to apply for an internship at Cisco, for a 6-month internship at Cisco in the States, in Silicon Valley. Being French educated, being in the middle of my master's degree, and being really socially engaged in my community, surrounded by friends and family, and living all my life with my family, it would have been much easier for me to not even apply for an internship, or in another term, to say no for the opportunity. Or it was actually less challenging for me to say, get out, Sarah, get out of your comfort zone. So I said yes. It wasn't the yes for applying for an internship. It was the yes for challenging myself. It was the yes for getting out of the comfort zone. Okay, that's the second story. It was December, or it was January 2008. At that time, I was encouraged by one of my friends to attend one of the meetings conducted by an organization called JCI, Junior Chamber International, conducting its meetings in Tripoli to call for volunteers to support in making impact in their local communities. At that time, I was working in Beirut at Amethyst, and I was commuting on a daily basis back and forth from Tripoli to Beirut, leaving at 6 p.m. the office, arriving at 8 p.m. to Tripoli. It was kind of very difficult for me to find a free time to give back to my local community, other than the weekends. Believe it or not, it was a need for me. I wanted to volunteer. I wanted to give back to my community. I wanted to feel socially useful. So I said yes. It wasn't a yes for joining a meeting. It was a yes for being proactive. It was a yes for giving back to my community and to commit once again to activism and to community service. Third story. 6 years ago, my beloved city, Tripoli, was torn between sectarian clashes, sadly in suburbs, in famous suburbs called Bab al-Kobani and Jabal Muhsin. Between 2010 and 2014, those two communities have witnessed 20 rounds of sectarian clashes that resulted in more than 2,550 wounded, 185 people dying, more than 6,500 households destroyed. It's in that hopeless context that a visionary woman I used to work with decided to step in. In December 2011, in the peak of instability and insecurity, that visionary woman came to me saying, Sarah, would you found and lead a community center in the middle of those two neighborhoods? At that time, I was 27 years old, a new mother for a 1-year-old son. And I had my experience in managing, training, and entrepreneurial programs. It was truly critical for me to make that decision, to accept the shift into leadership and community development path, and most importantly, to accept leading in such a risky timing, a risky context, in such an unexplored area. Yet, I said yes. It wasn't the yes just for leading a community center. It was a yes for acknowledging the trust that visionary women gave to me. It was the yes for taking risk, for leading change. So, what happened after all these yes decisions I have made? Well, it turned out that it's outside the comfort zone where the magic happens. Do you remember the internship I wanted to apply for? Well, that was the first picture we've taken during the orientation, and that was the last picture we've taken when we were receiving our certificates from the CEO. Between those two pictures, unforgettable memories will last forever. In just 6 months in Silicon Valley, I was able to meet hundreds of inspirational and successful leaders. I was able to build long-lasting relationships and friendships. I was able to unleash my potential, extend my, or higher my expectations, aim higher, And this is besides the language, knowledge, learning, and capacity building I was able to acquire. And believe it or not, when I was initially interviewed for the Cisco internship, I was interviewed by Cisco and by Amethyst. And I got my first job at Amethyst upon my return to Lebanon, where I worked there for 3 years. Do you remember the meeting I wanted to join, to volunteer, to give back to my community? When I joined that meeting, I decided to give back to my local community, to Tripoli. I was involved and engaged in tons of activities and initiatives. And I was elected in 2009 as the leading curator for the Tripoli chapter. We were able to organize, to set up IT labs in T5 schools. We were able to organize a national convention, bringing Arabs from the MENA region to attend, in addition to many other achievements. Besides the social experience I got, besides the skills I acquired and the relationships I built, when I attended the first meeting, I met my husband. And we volunteered together for 2 years in JCI, giving back to the local community. And we got married after 2 years, and we got 2 kids, and the third on the way. Do you remember the community center I was asked to lead? Of course, you remember the destruction, the bullets, and the very sensitive timing and location. Well, it's in that exact location, in that specific timing, a community development organization created a path until present for 229 young men and women, giving them the future, an education and the future. Those young men and women were able to get a university scholarship to pursue their education and give back to their local communities with community service hours, supporting child development and women advancement programs. In that specific location, more than 2,000 children benefited from inquiry-based learning and school outreach programs. More than 500 women were able to be empowered through behavioral change and awareness sessions, from which 100 women were able to get empowered economically through a community kitchen we have set up in-house in the community center. In addition to that impact on the local community, I must tell you something. Through leading Ruwad al-Tanmiya organization in Lebanon, I was able to find my sense of purpose. I was able to unleash my potential, to discover my capacities, my abilities. I was able to contribute to a change. I was able to impact lives around me. I was able to know that sky is not even a limit. I was able to learn by doing, lead by example, and inspire with responsibility. As a result of my journey, I'm standing right here in front of you in the TED Talk. As a result of a challenging journey, but a very rewarding one, I was accepted at the INSEAD last November 2017 in the INSEAD Impact Social Scholarship Program, and I was awarded by the Soraya Salti Impact Social Scholarship as being one of the 2 recipients, women recipients of the MENA in South Asia. And I was globally recognized by the World Economic Forum for being a global shaper, and I was selected among 50 youth from around the world to represent the region, their country, and their city in the World Economic Forum's annual summit in Davos this January 2018. And it's where I was given the opportunity to co-facilitate the session in the Congress Hall with the name of Entrepreneurial Pathways for Development. In a nutshell, I grew up from being part of a small family to becoming part of a global family. Each time I said yes to a life opportunity, more doors were opening for me and to the people around me. Even if you say yes and you fail, you still learn from failure. While saying no would only lead to closing doors and staying wherever you are within the comfort zone, away from the magic that could happen. Saying yes to life opportunities will keep you in a state of accepting, will keep you in a state of updating the newest version of you. And if you want to experience that magic, what you have to do is saying no, saying yes.